Hello, witches. This is Kristen, or Ozzy Peroni. I've been sick all weekend, so I used my downtime to do some reading, and I thought I would share with you what I learned. It's mostly going to focus on plants and trees magic using these things, and how they have their own spirits, and they tap into the memories in the earth. And this is how witches can gain power, basically by developing a relationship with the spirits that inhabit the plants. So we all know that the roots of trees and plants connect to the underworld, which in certain traditions in the underworld, they believe that this is the connection to our ancestors and also the fairy realm. Some traditions actually believe that the spirits of our ancestors are fairies. They become fairies when they die, which is why some people call ancient burial mounds fairy mounds as well. It's kind of like it could be either or, depending on what your beliefs are. And that's why the idea of fairy mounds came about, because they believed that the dead basically turned into fairies when they died. So the burial mounds are also fairy mounds. There's a tradition called ABW, Ash, Birch, and Willow, which focuses on these ideas. They believe in two realms called Linnea and Faewin. This is based on these two trees, magic trees. It could either be considered one tree that has, a side on each realm, or two separate trees, depending how you look at it. But the Linnea side of the tree is our world, and the Faewin side of the tree is the fairy realm. This tradition believes that also that the moon is like a world where the souls all wait to be incarnated in the material world. And the realm of the dead is connected to the earth through the trees. The souls are ushered through the seven sisters into this world. I think Pleiadians, I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, is also another way of describing the seven sisters. So all memory of everything that was, when people, animals, things, trees decay and die and go back into the earth, the memory of what was is always stored in the earth. And these memories can be accessed. The memories, the power, the information can all be tapped into through the roots of the trees and the plants. Now, when a plant grows, it's taking the memory of all the plants that were before it and growing into a plant, and a spirit will inhabit the plant. So, it's believed that a witch needs to build up a relationship with a spirit that's in the plant to obtain the power or the information that she needs. And it's said that plants are much more generous with giving this information than trees are, because trees are the guardians of knowledge. And the spirits that inhabit trees obviously are there for a much longer time. They're much more connected. And it's also said that trees that have particularly powerful spirits in them for a period of time start to look different than all the other trees around it, even if they're the same type of tree. And we can see this in a lot of medieval art, where trees are depicted as having faces. And I'm sure everybody has come into some contact with a tree like this at some point in time. Those big magical trees that they look like they have a face. They look like they're alive, and it's really cool. And sometimes these trees have holes or knots in them that are considered to be doorways into a fairy realm or another world. So witches that perform this type of plant magic, the main most important tool would be the mortar and pestle. The mortar is the male aspect. The mortar is the womb, the female aspect, and the pestle is the male aspect. The womb versus the phallic symbol. Another name for the mortar is the life giver or death taker, because all life comes from the womb. And another name for the pestle is the horn awakener or the serpent slumberer. So using the mortar and pestle in a clockwise, when you turn it in a clockwise way, it's to build up energy, and vice versa. You can see this in storms, in high pressure storm patterns. They gather the clouds and make rain, but low pressure does the opposite. It disperses the clouds. So witches and plants share the mortal condition. Both people and plants are born, they live a life in a physical body. Their spirit is encased in a material form and bound to this earth. And both are also connected to the celestial laws and the seasonal cycles, the tides, and all of that. So by living in this world, we're sharing in all of the laws that govern this world, and spirits being encased in physical form. The idea of the plants and trees reaching down into the earth and tapping into the memories, these memories are called shadow. Sometimes people think of ghosts as being the shadow of the person that once was. There's a reason that they call it shadow, because it is. It's like sort of like a memory of what was once there. So the plants and trees reach down and tap into this, and they also reach up into the sky and tap into the realm in the sky. Tools used for harvesting plants should be copper or bronze. I thought this was very interesting, because a lot of times we use things made of steel or iron, but the steel and iron can disrupt the energy or taint the extracted shadow. So when you're getting this stuff out that you need, the iron and steel interacts through magnetism, and it can actually screw up the energy that you're trying to get. Also, they say not to harvest at night in the dark, and not let what you're harvesting touch the ground, because if it touches the ground, the shadow can go back into the earth. And also they say to wrap it up in a piece of silk or cloth or something and keep it wrapped up until the time when you're going to use it. I also read about graveyard dirt versus graveyard dust. Some people mistake graveyard dust as being the dirt from the graveyard. If you take graveyard dirt from a particular area of the graveyard, you're taking the memory from that particular spot, but not the energy from the whole graveyard. If you want to get the energy from the whole graveyard, it's said to find the largest tree growing in the cemetery and take a piece of root or bark from that tree and grind it up into a powder. Then you take dirt from 5 different areas of the cemetery, one for each point on the star as well as spirit, and mix them together, and that will be the graveyard dirt that you need. But graveyard dust is actually the ground up root or bark from that large giant tree, because its roots go so deep and extend all over the place, it's tapping into all the dead that are in that cemetery, not just that particular one grave or one area. So that is about it on that aspect of what I was going to talk about. I will make another video on the shadow garden and how you can use you can make your own shadow garden of the memories of your rituals. So stay tuned for that.